All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the Town Council Public Hearing and Regular Meeting, May 18th, 2023. Could I get a roll call, please?
Buckholz present.
Holloway present.
Buda present.
Grossman present.
Fulmer present.
And Steve, we've got you online?
Or do we?
We did.
Be on mute.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay, let it be known we've established a quorum.
Mr.
And
Mayor,
it-
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
when someone calls in, they have to say where they're calling from.
Oh, I'm sorry. Where are you calling from, Steve?
I am calling from my residence, and I have a coughing cold, so I didn't want to spread that around the council chamber.
Thank you, sir. All right, if we could all rise for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag All right. We'll start off number 3A, conditional use permits. Big Street, 3 dwelling units above commercial space.
So this is the public hearing. So we're starting the public hearing. Libby, do you have anybody signed up
Nobody has signed up.
for either of them?
Nope.
Then,
Mr. Mayor, I offer to close the public meeting.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, let it be known, public hearing, conditional use permits have been closed. And that was for zoning map correction as well? That's the second?
I'm sorry?
That was on both? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry. All right, and now we're gonna have a presentation from our vacation homeowners of Cape Charles and the Good Neighbor Program.
And a couple of things, can I just pass around?
Thank you.
My name is Jordan Dale. I'm a local business owner and also vacation rental homeowner in Cape Charles, and I really appreciate you guys letting us come and present. I'm a representative for our group. And I just want to give a little background about us, who we are, and then I'm going to go into our Good Neighbor Program, which we're really excited about launching this spring. So we're basically started in about 2019 as a very loose group of homeowners on a Facebook group. And we have kind of morphed into being a little more active. We're very active in fundraising in the town, and just we're just really excited to promote Cape Charles as a destination. Last year, we actually were incorporated as a nonprofit, so we can do the fundraising things we want to do and some other things. And so this culmination, the culmination of this program called the Good Neighbor Program kind of happened over the course of 2022, and we finally were able to kind of pull it all together and launch it this spring. Let's see. So the vacation homeowners of Cape Charles are dedicated to investing in the betterment of Cape Charles community, striving to be a good homeowners, good hosts, good neighbors, and adding value to all stakeholders. This program was created with this statement in mind to try to increase communication between homeowners, renters, and the town. And that is really the mission of what the Good Neighbor Program is. So how it works is it's a voluntary program that any vacation homeowner, people who self-manage or also have realty management companies can join. You fill out a simple form online, which I'll show you in a little bit. You're going to pay a $25 fee, which covers magnets and things like that we're including. And they're going to receive those magnets from us. They're also going to receive, and this is pretty much the core of what we're doing, is this information on particular town ordinances and rules that we want to communicate to renters. So these things are intended to go into, everybody does it a little different, but, usually people have binders, welcome letters, even on their rental listing pages, they'll have things there. So this information is kind of giving them that, the bulk of the information in that. And then also a sample letter is provided that it was a great idea from a homeowner who uses it to send out to her neighbors every year. And she tells them who she is and, contact information. And we just thought that was a great way to kind of bridge the gap, communicate between neighbors and the homeowners. So the website tour, let's wait on that. I'll do that in just a second. I'm going to use her computer to do that. I'm going to flip over real quick to the Good Neighbor Magnet that we created. So this is the Good Neighbor Magnet, and this is the new one for this year. So it basically talks about the top 5 issues that we identified as just one of those problem areas that we see a lot, and we wanted to address those. So the big things are trash, street parking, noise level, lighting, and golf carts. And we address those in really, really high-level bullet points, and this is going to go in the homes. In the vacation homes so that renters can see it. This is renter-facing, along with this kind of same information in their communication from the renter. Next, we have the golf cart magnet. You guys have seen this. We're very proud of this. We worked with the town. It's been a couple years now. I don't know exactly when we did this, but we did the same kind of thing where we gave the high-level things that, this is how you don't be dumb when you're on a golf cart and don't break the law. And this also goes in the houses. A lot of people already have these because we gave these out years ago, but, they're getting a new one when they join the Good Neighbor program. So I talked about that. These are the information, the bulk of the information that we send to the renter to disseminate to their guests. Plus the sample letter is also included in that, and we encourage them to communicate with neighbors, which again, we really feel like communication is the key here. So let me go back to that. So let's go to the website if I can use your computer. So I want to show you, so we're really excited about our website and what that's going to do. It's really multifaceted. And I'll show you here what the vacation homeowners see, and then what we hope also that renters and guests will see. So we have displayed,
It didn't go.
oh, it didn't.
It did not. Did you click the link from the presentation?
I didn't.
Yeah. So, I don't know why it's not working.
Let me try it here.
Yeah.
Right here?
Yeah. No, it's not.
Okay, well, do you want to?
Let's back out of
Okay.
the program, PowerPoint, and maybe it's because it's got the PowerPoint on. It shouldn't have anything to do with it.
Here we go.
Oh, whoops. It's very sensitive.
Oh.
There you go.
Thank you, sorry about that. So this is our website. This is the website that the homeowners of Cape Charles have established. We have on here an events page where you can see that all the concerts in the park are listed, 4th of July, and then the big events that we put on every year are the cookie tour and the first day in the bay. So that's also listed here for them. Community support, we have here listed things that, that our group specifically has fundraised for so that people can see that and see the things that, how we are involved in the community and how we're supporting Cape Charles. And of course, want it to be successful. We do have a blog that I'll show you here. This is relatively new, but I wanted to show you one of our blog posts. Most recent one is, how can I be a good neighbor? So this is intended for visitors, and we're going to do more things like this along with other articles, but this one specifically talks about Good Neighbor, what the Good Neighbor program is, how can they participate, and we hope that they will read that and do the things that we recommend. To join the Good Neighbor program, this is where you're going to go if you have a vacation home. There's a form on the website that you would fill out, so it's very simple, easy to get to. And then, of course, we have our store where we have the, where you can pay. But that is kind of the new part that kind of came out with the Good Neighbor program. Give this back to you. Small drop it. And then, of course, the last, go back to the presentation. The last slide that I had here. I'll just slip through. Just talked about the town police and town officials. We're leaving it to them to enforce laws and ordinances, and we encourage violations to be reported either to the town or to the police in that specific blog post. I think a lot of visitors wouldn't even know who to tell, something to if they didn't have that link or that access. So anyway, so that's pretty much it. I appreciate your time.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
thank you.
One question?
Yes.
Unless I missed it, how many members do you have?
Oh, yes, I looked tonight because we did have a few last-minute people who joined. So as of tonight, we have 69 unique homes that have joined. That's awesome. Yeah, it's good. And I mean, we're not done. So we push it on our Facebook group and really hoping to get more. Yeah.
Counselor Paul?
A couple questions.
Yes.
First, I'm really glad you came tonight because it sounds like some of this has been going on and I was not aware of it. But clearly there's more people to pull in because I don't think any of my friends who stayed in rental houses have I seen these magnets. So,
Okay.
well done.
Thank you.
So now, and this might be a misperception, I've had the impression that your group is largely people who self-manage their homes.
I don't know the percentage. There is a lot of us that do, yes.
Which, so are you reaching out, because I would like to see the homes that are managed by agents.
Yes.
Have these magnets and stickers, because
Yes.
people, in my experience, they tend to pay a little bit more attention to directions from the property owner than they do from town or the golf cart rental agency. So I'd love you to get all of them
Yes.
to join.
Well, I actually have. I have sent emails to the big names, Blue Heron, Chesapeake Properties, all of those people have been made aware. Chesapeake Properties is the only one that got back to me right away, but of course, this is the busy season, so I'll continue to pursue that.
But I'd love to see them sign up before the day leadership.
That is our
visitors.
goal. That is our goal.
And I think the local residents could benefit greatly from just knowing you've got the website. Sorry. Okay, sorry. I think the local residents could benefit greatly from knowing about the website. So like in
Yeah.
your letter to neighbors, does it flag that as?
It's not on the website because that's specific to
Right.
people who joined the Good Neighbor program.
Right. But
Yeah.
I get more confidence in you knowing this is something you're it's not for visitors.
It's not direct to visitors.
Okay, it's just the
Right.
homeowners. Okay.
It's just for the homeowners to disseminate the information.
Okay.
So we've packaged it all kind of in a nice little neat, like one-page thing. And then the homeowner is responsible to put it in however they communicate to their renter. And that could be lots of different ways and probably more than one way.
Yeah, because I think if your neighbors know everything that you're doing in the directions you've given, they would probably be more likely to contact you if guests weren't complying with your wishes.
Right, and that's why we encourage, the communication between the neighbor and the homeowner, because our intention is not to be regulatory in this. We're not, going out policing this, but we really want that relationship to be built so that it's not a feeling of I have to tattle or I have to, you're just telling your friend, hey, they're leaving stuff out in the yard or whatever the complaint
And
is.
asking your friends, neighbors to watch out for you.
Exactly.
Your
Yes.
investment.
Well, there's a great example of that where someone actually called because something was on fire in the backyard. So, so that really it really goes both ways to protect the home and the neighbor. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Anybody
This
else?
is awesome.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. All right, National Public Works Week. Can I get a motion for proclamation 202-305-18A?
So moved.
Second?
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the National Public Works Week proclamation 202-305-18A, May 21st through 27th, 2023, connecting the world through public works. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health. high quality of life and well-being of the citizens of the town of Cape Charles, and whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public work professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens, and whereas it is the public interest for the citizens, civil leaders, and children in the town of Cape Charles to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest in understanding of the importance of public works and public work programs in their respective communities, and whereas the year 2023 marks the 63rd annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association, now be it proclaimed that Cape Charles Town Council does hereby designate the week May 21st through 27, 2023 as National Public Works Week, and urges all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. Adopted by the Town Council of Cape Charles on this 18th day of May 2023. Thank you. All right. So before we go to public comments, I just wanted to make an announcement for everybody here this evening. Just to go over, we had this come up in our last meeting as far as eligibility, as far as who is able to sign up and speak this evening. So I just wanted to let you know and make it clear that only those citizens with standing in the town of Cape Charles will be provided the opportunity to provide input during the public comment period. Citizens with standing include full-time residents, property owners, and business owners within the corporate boundaries of the town of Cape Charles. State, federal, and county official representatives serving the town of Cape Charles are also eligible. When eligibility is called into question, input may be provided upon affirmative vote of the council. So just to be clear, if you are coming up to speak, please state your name, where you live, what your affiliation or stakes are in the town of Cape Charles before making your comments, please. In the decorum and order of the speakers this evening, speakers shall address remarks to the mayor and members of town council, not to the audience. The mayor or other presiding officials shall preserve decorum and shall decide all questions of public order. Speakers and members of the audience shall be respectful of others, even if they do not agree with the other's comments. There shall be no outcries from the audience, either in support or opposition of the speaker. Applause shall be permitted only during awards and presentations. Flash photography will be permitted at this time. But there you go. So Libby, how many do we have emails?
We've got quite a few emails, but you want to do the speakers first?
Speakers first?
And then read-
Speakers first.
Okay, first one is Pete Bauman.
So,
So they said he left. And then Melinda Blanchard.
Hi, my name is Melinda Blanchard. I live in Eastville, although my GPS says Cape Charles, and I do own property in Cape Charles. I'm here to lend support for Lemon Tree and the music on Strawberry Street on Friday evenings. This has been an extremely popular gathering for adults and children alike. From what I understand, there have been some people, maybe some people on the council, that have complained about these free events. These events have enhanced the success of the commercial district of Cape Charles by drawing people into town. These musical gatherings have not been easy to organize and hardly make any money. Any profits are returned to the nonprofits, Art Center, and Experimental Film. I understand that Lemon Tree withdrew their permit because they were discouraged by negativity. I'm just curious, like, would you cancel festive Fridays because of a few people complaining, or the concerts in the park, or 4th of July? And there's a concrete plant over there, too. This can't be a pick and choose thing. I'd like to hear from the town council and the town manager as to why what complaints were made and who made them. Please don't make this a difficult situation. We should be thanking Lemon Tree for bringing the arts to Cape Charles. I've been involved in the theater and in Lemon Tree since I moved here. It has been a hub for me. And I think it's a hub for a lot of people. It brings people in town throughout the year having music inside when the weather's not good. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Herb, Tom?
Good evening, everybody. I think most of you know me. My name is Herb Tom. I live at 119 Fig Street. I'm the chairman of the Historic District Review Board and totally involved in our town. And I stand here tonight to ask you to rethink the Lemon Tree's problem. The people who put this on, I go there probably not every Friday, but because I'm involved in the American Legion. So I can't make them all, but I have a lot of friends that attend them, and everybody is called the house. Can you go speak? I said, yes, I will. I think it's a good thing for the town. It's a good thing for the tourists, and I'm very sorry for the people who feel that it doesn't bring money into their businesses, because I'm sure it does. I don't know what the statistics are, but if we could weigh how many people come and attend the Fridays versus how many people do not attend on the inclement weather, and it only lasts 2 hours. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Kay Hobson?
Next.
Okay. Richard Berger?
Good evening, Mayor Charney and members of the council. Thank you for this opportunity to speak this evening. I'm Richard Berger, 550 Madison Avenue, chairperson of the Cape Charles Memorial Library Board of Trustees. The issue at hand is the revised bylaws for the library, which you will be considering in new business item E, section 2.1 this evening, regarding the trustees' residency. The change that we, the library board, have suggested, found in the last line of this section, is that all board members should be residents of Northampton County, not specifically Cape Charles alone. This change was agreed to by the library board after a significant discussion at our March meeting. Our decision was based on a number of factors. It should be noted that while all other town boards address issues only within the geographic confines of Cape Charles, and therefore require town residency, our library serves a regional population with patrons from Nassauwatucks, Machipongo, Eastville, Cheriton, and other shore communities. In fact, anyone with an Eastern Shore Public Library System card may check out materials from our library. The impact of this facility stretches far beyond our town borders. We serve the shore. Looking at the patrons of the library statistically, based on data from the Eastern Shore Public Library System in their online registration, where patrons have provided their addresses, there are slightly more than 1,300 library cards listing Cape Charles addresses. but over 1,700 patrons listing Cape Charles Memorial Library as their primary branch. Northampton County has issued over 3,000 library cards, but again, over half of those patrons list Cape Charles Memorial Library as their primary branch. That's 1,700 number again. At least 400 people outside of our town confines see our library as their library of choice. Over half of all library cards in the county see our library as their library of choice. We feel that these people should be represented on our board.
30 seconds.
35. Oh, thank you. Apparently, at some time in the past, a special dispensation was made by the town council that one member of the board who had moved out of town could remain as a member of the Board of Trustees. In order to form a library board representing the full scope and diversity of our patron population, we feel that more than one member of our library board can be selected from the population of Northampton County as a whole and not be limited to just the population of residents of Cape Charles.
Guess that's 30 seconds.
2 more lines?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Please consider these factors as you decide whether or not to approve our revised bylaws. Thanks to other members of the library board who are here to support our revised bylaws. Thank you, members of the council, for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Rich,
somewhere.
when we get to this item of business, if you could remain, and then you'll be able to answer questions then, and this is not your only opportunity to address this. Thank you.
Jeff Gray.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. First of all, I apologize for being overdressed. I just came in from work across the bay, but I live here. I see a lot of friends, both up on the dais here and around the room. But before I get started with my timed comments, I just have a question. I think there's a lot of people on the sign-up sheet tonight who are here to address an issue about the Lemon Tree putting concerts on Strawberry Street. And from some things I've heard this evening, that may be something that's unnecessary. I mean, so if you'll allow me just to ask the question before I get into comments about the substance of the issue that would be timed, I guess my concern or my question is, I think we could save a lot of time here this evening. Look, we're all friends, we all live and work together, but there's some issues about this, but I think if in fact the view of council is, as I've heard this evening, that the Lemon Tree is approved for their Friday night events on Strawberry Street like they've been doing for the last 2 years, except for Memorial Day weekend and Labor Day weekend, then that resolves the question. The challenge, I think, for many of us is we're seeing a lot of different comments, both on social media and emails, on the Cape Charles Mirror, and so that's the confusion, I think, that has driven some of this, I'll go so far as to say angst this evening over that question. So if I could ask the mayor, I mean, is that an issue we need to be concerned about tonight, or can we all go home?
I think we continue with your comments, sir.
So just a point of order, we don't take questions during public comment. That's just the rules of the council.
Yes.
And your 3 minutes started when you started talking.
So, Mr. Hosey,
I
first
can't
of all,
answer questions either.
Mr. Hosey, Mayor, you have the ability as members of this council to allow extra time or to amend your rules as you see fit based on what you may feel like is appropriate. So I understand Mr. Hosey's comment. I would ask that the council modify that rule for this purpose because it may save all of us a lot of time here this evening. I would ask the mayor to put that to council.
Jeff, can you just give your address real quick?
615 Monroe Avenue,
Okay, thank you.
the most wonderful place in town.
I think we're going to save that for comments at the end.
So will there be a discussion here in these chambers this evening of that issue?
It's not on the agenda.
So then how are we saving it for comments at the end?
Mr. Mayor, it's not on the agenda, but clearly there's an interest by the community in this. So what we typically do is there's a place in the agenda at the very end called comments. There's a town manager's comments and a mayor and council comments. Almost always, things that are brought up during public comments are addressed at that period by either members of the council or myself. So I know I intend to address it when we get to manager's comments.
We would like to address it as people who've signed up here this evening, and my hope is to avoid confusion. Again, think about the question I've just asked of you folks. I've said to you, is this an issue we even need to talk about? And again, I've heard different things this evening about that. I don't think that's something that would warrant saying, well, no, you're not entitled to an answer to that because our procedure doesn't like it. I'm saying to you, your procedure this evening can approve it. And so before we even get into something that may be contentious, and I would prefer that it not be, but if it is, I think we're entitled to know. So I'm asking this group to just, can you give us an answer to that question, or you can tell us. And as it relates to whether it's on the agenda, I think it is. Because at a meeting on the 20th
Jeff,
of
I'm
April,
sorry. I gotta
okay.
stop.
John is going to address it under the manager's comments, and we're going to discuss it then.
Will that allow
Should
people
happen
here,
tonight.
will that allow people here to make comments about it?
No, then, no. They can still make their
We're going to
comments
hear
now.
everybody's comments now.
Do you understand what I'm saying, though? I don't want us all to have to be here way longer than we need to if it's a non-issue. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
It isn't a non-issue.
So
So
next,
everybody should proceed and talk.
So you say it is a non-issue?
That,
It isn't.
yeah, we have to have the next speaker come up, I'm sorry. It will be
Okay,
addressed later this
Okay,
evening.
I think
and
it is-
Mr. Hosey's comment.
thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
I think it is on the agenda because it would be under old business, because Mr. Buckholz raised the issue at the last meeting, and Mr. Hosey said that he was looking into it. I think it's still on your agenda.
Mary Ann Reen?
Mary Ann Rame, 2678 Butler's Bluff, Cape Charles. I just wanted to say a few words from the perspective of the Lemon Tree. The Gallery and Art Center have always focused on providing arts and entertainment to the community. Fridays at Lemon Tree have been a staple on Friday evenings for several years and provide a family-friendly, fun event for residents and tourists to enjoy. Free live entertainment with a cash bar. A year into COVID, in April of 2021, we had our first outside party in front of the theater, and it was wildly popular. After another week, we coordinated with the town and moved the party around the corner to Strawberry Street so that we could provide more safety for visitors. In 2021, we had an outside party every Friday from spring through the fall or until the weather changed. In 2022, we had many fewer parties as ABC restricted the number of outside parties to 12. So I just wanted to clear that part up. Last year, we created Strawberry Jam, a collaboration of all the businesses on Strawberry Street. The intention was to enhance visibility of the businesses and provide extra support for each other while also cooperating on the Friday night events. We expected to continue last year's model with the street closed from Mason to Randolph rather than just the southern end of Strawberry. A meeting was scheduled with Mr. Hosey to iron out any remaining details of the facility use application. At that meeting, 2 weeks ago, we were told that there had been numerous complaints about the parties. Mr. Hosey asked us to gather endorsements from Main Street and the homeowners associations in the Wilson Building and the Patrick Hand Building across the street, and if we did, we would have the town's support. Essentially, we were hurt and offended that we had been asked to defend ourselves against a few loud complaints and didn't have the clear endorsement of the town. We chose not to engage in a public debate, did not solicit endorsements, and instead decided to retreat and continue with the events inside and withdraw our application. We're not interested in wasting time on confrontation and decided if there was no harmony, there was no point. Since then, the reaction to abandoning the street parties has been very vocal. It's encouraging that both residents and tourists are supportive of what we are providing to the downtown during the summer and have shown their appreciation. It has caused us to rethink and become motivated to resubmit our town use facility application for Fridays between June 2nd and September 18th. Rain will force these events indoors. We hope that we will have the help of the town to make these events a part of the summer fabric of Cape Charles. Thank you.
Clara Cooper.
Hi there. So I rent in town, specifically on Strawberry Street, but I'm hoping I'll still be able to speak tonight based on that. Okay, super. So I rent on Strawberry Street. Additionally, I do business in Cape Charles, as well as performing in Cape Charles. As an interior designer, which is my business, over the last year and a half, I've worked with 30 families to create their homes here in Cape Charles, which is a great testament to the growth of this town. Nearly all of these families have expressed the same sentiment about what drew them to Cape Charles. It's the same thing that myself and so many other people, locals, transplants, and tourists alike, love about it, and that is the small town energy. We aren't Virginia Beach, and we aren't the Outer Banks. Placemaking is the process of creating quality places that people want to live, work, play, and learn in. There are 4 types of placemaking, and each of these approaches creating an authentic sense of place in a different way. The Friday nights at Lemon Tree and in Strawberry Street, beyond being a great example of what's special about living in this town, are also a prime example of creative placemaking. Creative placemaking is when partners in the community, public, private, nonprofit, and community, come together to shape the physical and social character of a neighborhood, town, or city in relation to the arts and cultural activity. Cultural activity is arguably one of the most important components of placemaking. The perceived goal of these Friday nights at Lemon Tree is to promote unity and growth in our community by providing a place for musicians, artisans, and entrepreneurs to share their craft while creating an environment that encourages community and conversation in a family-friendly way. And I hope that you all understand that that is the goal of these events, and that is all I'd like to say tonight. Thank you.
Walter Bronson.
Good evening, Walter Bronson. I think most of you know me. I live 515 Tazewell Avenue. I am also here to speak on behalf of the music. We've been in town about 2 years now. It's one of the things that we've really enjoyed about being in town. We like the walkability of the town, the events. Oh, sorry. Thank you. The Saturday nights, music in the park, which is, I'm sure, disturbs some people in the park too. Not everybody likes music the way that we do, but we certainly do. I understand that there's been some complaints about public drinking. I haven't seen any problem there. Now, I guess we've been here for most of the time that that's gone on. I would think that that's something that could be readily taken care of with signage or barriers or whatever to keep people within the limits of the park. It's not something that's been clearly defined before, but I'm sure we could work that out with the police department or whoever else we needed to. I understand obviously there's music, there's noise, there's people there. There's a lot of people that come in that are regulars, live here all the time. There's also tourists that come in and enjoy the event. It's Main Street. It's where Festive Fridays are. It's where our parades are. It's 2 hours on Friday night for 12 nights. I understand some people are put out a little bit, but I think for all the good that it does for the town, it's something that should be supported. There are other businesses that have music in town. I can't walk to them, but we do go to the brewery. The brewery has live music on Friday nights. We can go out to Sea Pier. They have live music on Friday nights. I'm probably driving there. I'm certainly not going to come downtown and potentially go to the businesses. When we do come downtown, we like to eat. We eat downtown. We stop in the stores when we're downtown. I think it does benefit the business. Does it bring it in like Festive Fridays? Maybe not. But without it, those people probably are going to go elsewhere. And I would encourage council tonight to support this event. I know it's not on your agenda, but in your discussion, I would strongly ask you to come out and encourage Lemon Tree to reapply for this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Doing? Mayor, councilman, patrons. I've been a renter at 5 Mason for probably over 20 years now. And going off Mr. Bressman's comments on the public music, I think it's very necessary for public and private businesses to keep the public music going, especially for, anyone that is trying to, make a living or just even trying to support their families. Public music, private or public, I think it's very beneficial for this community of Cape Charles, especially since we're such a small community, to keep our music going. I know, councilmen, y'all have a lot on your table, a lot of other issues to deal about, but just keeping this public music going, I think is very beneficial for us as Cape Charles, as a town and community. Keep us going, I know it doesn't mean a lot to y'all, but just as I've been a renter here for a very long time, and I've seen this community grow, it's very important for me and probably for a lot of all y'all patrons out here, just to see this community keep growing, especially. But I just want to make a comment about that. Mr. Bressman, I respect it. Just say a lot. It means a lot. I know it may not, it's very small in y'all's agenda, but it means a lot to us as a community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's everybody that signed up, but I do have some comments that were submitted.
Okay.
Okay, the first one is from Ellen Moore. I own Ellen Moore Gallery at 238 Mason. I understand that Lemon Tree Friday nights on Strawberry Street are being considered as a weekly and/or regular event. I am voicing my objection to this for several reasons. I have been a merchant on Mason Avenue for over 10 years and seen many changes in that period of time, some good and some negative. Strawberry is a main street to Mason Avenue and also serves as parking and access for many residents. Taking away their ability to access their homes along with the noise the event generates is unacceptable. Additionally, the use of alcohol outside the designated area has always been an issue. It is well known that people carry Go cups full of alcohol and visit the surrounding businesses while consuming their drinks. It is not uncommon for a business to be inundated with a group of rowdy customers. A single business should not be allowed to close down one block once a week. It does not begin to make sense to inconvenience people and allow disruptive behavior. Roxanne Ward, owner of Bowie 56 at 209B Mason Avenue. It has come to my attention that Lemon Tree is applying or has applied to close off Strawberry Street on Friday evenings during the summer. The impact this event has on other merchants stands to be heard. Last year, during these Friday evening events, our end of Mason Avenue, 200 A, B, and C, was empty with the exception of a few stragglers walking by with open containers of alcoholic beverages. We ended up closing early on those Friday evenings. While I am writing on behalf of Bowie 56 only, I feel sure other merchants have had similar situations. I can't help but think of the other merchants on Strawberry Street. How does this affect them? Can the customers get to them easily with the road blocked off? I know many folks enjoy this event, and I am not anti-Lemon Tree street parties by any means, but I do think there should be a limit on how many of these events happen in a season. Please take into consideration the impact this event has on other merchants, the residents and surrounding condos, and how it might affect our police officers who cannot be everywhere at the same time. Thank you for your time. Amy Buta, president of the Wilson's Building Condo Association. I am writing as the president of the Wilson's Building Condominium Association to voice an objection to the closure of Strawberry Street on Friday nights. Our residents are predominantly in their 70s, 80s, and 90s, and the expectation for them to move cars every week is unfair. If for some reason they are not able to move their car, they receive a nasty, recriminating note and risk damage to their vehicle from careless patrons. Should they arrive home after 5 p.m., they are required to walk several blocks, which is at best inconvenient and at worst unsafe. The noise from the bands is directly outside our windows, and we are not able to watch TV or have normal voice-level conversation. We have been left with the remnants of the party to clean up ourselves the next day.
It is difficult to understand why this has been allowed to occur when Strawberry Plaza, built just for this purpose, is a few feet from Lemon Tree. Thank you for your time and attention. From Jan Umphrey. I live at 300 Mason Avenue, Unit 1A, and I've heard that Lemon Tree Gallery has applied to hold their weekly street parties every Friday evening this summer, as they did last year. I'm opposed to Lemon Tree Gallery holding a weekly event that closes a street and generates loud music and noise indiscriminately for business neighbors and residential neighbors. Although I live on the backside of our building, the music is still much too loud, and it is unbearable for my neighbors who actually face the event, who have no choice but to attend if they are in their homes on Friday night. I love all our local stores, and I understand from several owners that the event actually hurt their businesses. In addition, the increased strain on parking from closing that block drives more people to illegally park in our private lot to the disadvantage of residents. The event is fun for many, I'm sure, but a weekly event does not make a good neighbor. If it continues at all, perhaps a monthly event would be more tolerable. Lemon Tree Gallery can also host events inside as they did before. I think neighborly and consideration are the key words to consider as this application is deliberated. So this is my personal opinion and does not represent the board of 300 Mason Avenue. Virginia Gomer at 6 Randolph Avenue. I would like to voice my agreement for continuing the free Friday outdoor concerts at Lemon Tree. To me, it is a plus to the town to have the entertainment. While there may be traffic for parking concerns, the concerts do not last long, and it is not a hardship to avoid the area during the limited time the concert and preparations are being conducted. I can't speak for the residents in the Wilson Building, but I have known tenants who wholeheartedly enjoy the concerts, so I would be curious to know the percentage of those residents who oppose the concerts, and those would be the voice to consider when deciding the fate of the concerts. Let's continue to be a small town at heart and not let our town bureaucracy get in the way of a positive family event. The Lemon Tree Art Center has done a tremendous good for the town, and the town office, in turn, should do what they can to be of service to the activities they sponsor. Christina Carollo from Ambrosia Cafe. I am the owner of Ambrosia Cafe in Nautica, located at 321 Mason Avenue, and I'm writing to oppose the request submitted by Lemon Tree Gallery to close Strawberry Street every Friday night this summer. Last year, these events created multiple problems for my business. First of all, the music was extremely loud and prevented my customers from enjoying a conversation while dining at the restaurant outdoor tables, which are the most popular in the summer. Second, at these events, alcoholic beverages were sold in clear plastic cups with no lids. Despite barriers, customers wandered on Mason Avenue with such cups and walked into my restaurant with them. There was a sign on the restaurant front door about no outside food and alcohol being allowed. My business complies with ABC laws and regulations to maintain an active liquor license, and such behavior could jeopardize such compliance. Third, my customers had problems finding a place to park close to the restaurant due to the congestion caused by the music events. Granting such a request would be unjust. I believe it is unfair for the town to favor one business over another in this manner, particularly on one of the busiest nights of the week during the summer. I appreciate the opportunity to submit my comments in your consideration of this matter. From Liliana Bricken. My husband and I visited Cape Charles 2 years ago and knew right away we wanted to move there when my son graduates from school. It's a quaint little town with good community feel. One of the first Main Street activities we encountered was the Friday afternoon.
Just checking.
Let's see. It doesn't have an address. It does? Okay. Okay, where was I? One of the first Main Street activities we encountered was the Friday afternoon live music concert next to the Lemon Tree Gallery. It was great, and it was just one of the many activities that influenced our decision to purchase property in Cape Charles and even invested in renovating a building on Main Street. I recently heard that the concerts are canceled, and I am very disappointed. Won't you please reconsider and allow the concerts to go on again? The most important factor of establishing a thriving community is people, and the street music concert brings Cape Charles residents and visitors together in a positive, fun environment. I am hopeful that you will consider and bring the fun back to Main Street. From Mary Lovett, As a full-time resident of Cape Charles since 2012, we have seen a lot of changes, good and bad, for the town. Lemon Tree's Friday night events on Strawberry Street have been so popular and a great family event. I am in support of Lemon Tree continuing this great community event for the upcoming season. Thank you. Connie Adams from 207 Tazewell Avenue. I am writing to urge you not to ban live music at the Lemon Tree. Music brings a community together. I moved to Cape Charles this past September. I knew very few people outside of my sister and brother-in-law. Then they left on a 5-week trip in mid-November. I felt quite alone, although the few people I had met were nice. In early December, I took myself over to the Lemon Tree for one of their Friday night music evenings. I was greeted warmly and saw people I knew, as well as met many other friendly people. I enjoyed a glass of wine and even danced. The music brought us all together in a way that would have never happened otherwise. I will be forever grateful to the Lemon Tree for providing this lovely oasis in the dark of winter. Please do not allow a few complaints to rob the community of this wonderful venue. Sean and Crystal Hart, owners of Salt and Sand and Just Peachy Convenience. I am writing in support of the outside music organized by Lemon Tree Gallery. Okay, that one's already been done. Jacqueline Smith at 245 Mason Avenue. To members of Town Council, this is to say thank you to both Clelia Shepherd and Marianne Rame for all they do for our community. Thank you for the beautiful art in Lemon Tree Gallery, from paintings to objects of art in all forms, for showcasing the local talent we are fortunate to have in our area, for the theater productions, for all the musicians that you invite to entertain us. As a former event coordinator, I appreciate all the time and hard work these events require. You are both so gracious and generous and always present wonderful art, programs, and entertainment for the community to enjoy. As summer approaches, we look forward to the Friday evening performances on Strawberry Street. The performances of local musicians have become a summertime favorite for local residents and visitors alike after a day of shopping and dining in our shops and restaurants. I know I speak on behalf of many in our community when I say that you are so appreciated. Also, a big thank you to all Lemon Tree Gallery staff and volunteers to help make all this possible.
All right, can I get a motion to close? Oh, what's that? Oh, you don't? All right.
So, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
before you move on to consent agenda, I would like to request that somebody consider amending the agenda to add an item for the USDA Rural Development Grant Loan Resolution. I sent it to you by email earlier this afternoon. I'm sorry, this is the last minute change. We just got it yesterday. But there's a sense of urgency to getting it done. And I can explain in greater detail should you choose to add it to the agenda and we make it to that point. So I would request someone making a motion to amend the agenda to add this as new business item 8F.
Many of us back here, I know it's not me, cannot hear. I don't know if the microphones don't work, or you might need to get closer. And I know I'm the one that keeps saying it, but I know there's a lot of people who are more like this.
Okay, we'll try.
We come to the meetings, we want to know what's going on.
Fair enough. Sorry.
Talk up, John.
Yes, ma'am.
I know you got it.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we add the USDA Rural Development Grant Loan as item 8F.
Second? We have a second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, let it be known it's been added as new business 8F.
So now a motion to accept the consent agenda as amended would be appropriate.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Moving on. We need to still approve the minutes or is that all part of it?
Nope, just
All right,
did
good. All right, unfinished business, none. New business, Virginia DHCD Industrial Revitalization Fund Grant for Rosenwald School Rehabilitation.
So, Mr. Mayor, this is the same resolution that you approved last year. As you recall, we supported the initiative to renovate the Rosenwald School. They didn't compete as well as they had hoped for the grant last year, but they're competing again this year, and we've done more work to make their grant application more competitive, but we need to reapprove the resolution. So we still very strongly support the initiative, and I recommend approval of the resolution.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that we adopt Resolution 2023-0518, authorizing application for submittal of industrial revitalization funding for rehab of Rosenwell School.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Oh,
That
sorry,
needed a roll
Steve.
call vote, it's a
Oh,
resolution.
I'm sorry. Gotta get my other notes out, my apologies. All right, let's start this over. Bennett,
Yes.
Buckholz,
Yes.
Buda,
Yes.
Fulmer,
Yes.
Grossman,
Yes.
Holloway.
Yes.
All right. Motion carries. All right. B, establishing housing rehabilitation zone.
So, Mr. Mayor, this was brought to our attention from the workforce housing developer that we've been working with for well over a year now. And in his discussions with Virginia Housing for financing options, he was made aware of a possibility to perhaps secure grants as well as loan financing. But to qualify, we would need to designate the area as a rehabilitation zone. It makes it convenient that we establish a PUD, so it's very easy to just designate just that one parcel, that one PUD as the zone. So this would only affect that one parcel, and there is some sense of urgency to this one as well, in that their fiscal year is ending and they needed to have this in sooner rather than later. So we recommend the approval of this ordinance to establish the rehabilitation zone specifically for that parcel for workforce housing.
Just before I make a motion, you call it a rehabilitation zone, but I think it's called a revitalization zone. We need to ensure we get the right title.
Oh, I'm sorry, you are absolutely correct.
All right, so in
The-
the title and in the therefore, we need to change that to revitalization.
Thank you.
And at the bottom.
Right.
We did this quickly, and sorry,
All right, so
that's a
Mr.
great
Mayor,
catch.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2023-0518A, establishing a housing revitalization zone for the parcel 90-19-A.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
It needs a roll call.
Oh, I'm
vote.
sorry. Looking right at it. Roll call vote.
Can I ask a question before that's on here? The PUD is 5 acres of this 11-acre site. This particular tax parcel is just for the PUD, or is it for the entire?
It's for the entire parcel.
For the entire parcel. So, okay, so for the 11 acres. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? All right, I move for adoption of ordinance 2023-0518A, establishing a housing revitalization zone as noted, and forego the reading of the ordinance. And it's a roll call vote. Bennett?
Yes.
Buckholz?
Yes.
Luda?
Yes.
Fulmer?
Yes.
Grossman?
Yes?
Holloway?
Yes.
All right. Conditional use permits, start off with 1 Big Street, 3 dwelling unit above commercial space.
I will turn it over to the zoning administrator.
Okay.
Good evening. So the owners of 1 Fig Street, the Liquor Distillation Society LLC, have applied for a conditional use permit for 3 single-family dwelling units above their first-floor commercial space. We have been working with them for over a year on this project, as it's been working through the Historic District Review Board. As part of their proposed reuse of the property as a restaurant, we were uncertain if full compliance with both town code and building code could be achieved for the use proposed without some additional land. The property owner successfully acquired the lot behind the building along Mason Avenue, and the lot line between the two parcels has been vacated, and this is now one parcel comprising 11,200 square feet. With this land acquisition, the applicant is seeking to construct roughly a 3,300 square foot addition on the west rear side of the existing commercial building, and it would be a two-story addition. In the submittal of their plans for the existing building, as well as the proposed addition, these plans showed a total of 4 residential units on the second floor, with each unit to contain individual bathrooms, sized approximately from 150 to 198 square feet within the units. Previously, the town had approved a conditional use permit on January of 2017 for one single dwelling unit on the second floor above first floor commercial use in this commercial -2 zoning district. Therefore, this particular application is seeking to add 3 additional more conditional use permits for these 3 additional residential units based upon the existing building and the additional square footage being proposed. In their site plan, they have indicated they would accommodate on-site 4 parking spaces that would service those 4 residential units, and that they would use these residential units for their housing for the local employees relative to their restaurant establishment. Just as a point of information, since this is a project moving forward, we wanted to also make you aware that the town had approved a variance on this property on January 5th of 2017 that provided a full relief of the off-street parking requirements associated with a restaurant commercial use on the first floor. This approval, while granted to a different owner of the property than these current owners, is affixed to the property and is granted to the current owners of this property since the commercial use they are proposing, a restaurant, is the same as when the BZA heard this matter and issued the variance. So with the specific items, the Planning Commission did hold their public hearing on May 2nd, 2023, and we gave our staff report on this matter. The applicants were not in attendance at that particular hearing, and there were no public comments. From the board discussion, Commissioner Strube asked and received clarification that there will be a total of 4 residential units on the second floor, and again, that those would be used for housing for their employees, and that there would be parking allowed on their premises for those units. So the recommendation from the Planning Commission to the Town Council is to approve the CUP 2023-001 conditional use permit for 3 single-family dwelling units above first-floor commercial space based upon the site plan and application submitted, and with the condition that the minimum lease term of no less than 30 days be assigned to the 3 residential units at 1 Fig Street. This was seconded by Commissioner Holloway, and the motion was carried unanimously. So that is my recommendation from the Planning Commission. I do know the applicant is here if you do wish to hear from them as well.
Okay, please. Sure.
Sure. I'm Penn Kinsey, and I'm with my husband, the owner of One Fig. So we just want to, one of the biggest problems we see with the city is housing for staff. We have staff moving here to help us open the property, and we just want that up there for them to live up there. So, since I can't have a hotel. So, that's all we really want to do.
Thank you.
Hey, no problem.
Doing great work.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, then we can discuss. I'd like to approve the conditional use permit 2023-001 for the 3 single-family dwelling units above the first floor commercial space, and condition that with a minimum lease term of no less than 30 days be assigned to the 3 residential units.
Second.
One Fig.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Steve. I guess we lost him.
Cell phone died.
Oh, you there? Yeah, now I can. Did you have any comments?
It doesn't appear, it doesn't appear there's, excuse me, it doesn't appear there's anywhere for anybody to cook in these units.
Is that correct? That's correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, carries. 6 Mason Avenue, paid parking lot operation. Who's coming? Is Smitty coming up? Or? Oh, sorry.
At 6 Mason Avenue, again, this is from Cape Marine Services LLC is seeking to obtain a conditional use permit at 6 Mason Avenue in the Harbor Zoning District to operate a paid parking lot on 72,000 square feet. Actually seeking to use approximately about 22% of that lot size in total. The lot is quite large. It's about 322,000 square feet. And this would be pursuant to Cape Charles Zoning Ordinance, Section 3-9 E7F. And they are seeking a one-time seasonal approval until September 5, 2023, with relief from the landscaping requirements contained in our zoning ordinance. When this was presented to me as a zoning administrator, we looked through the ordinance and we felt we were going to be a little bit creative in the application coming forward to you, since we've never had paid parking in the town of Cape Charles and there is some uncertainty how that will be received and utilized. And I am concerned that we really didn't want to have to move forward with major infrastructure changes to the property if it really was not the long-term intent and direction of the use of that property, i.e. not looking to pave over what is essentially really green space at the moment. So that is what is before you this evening, is a seasonal parking request application to operate this from now until September 5th. With that said, the Planning Commission did hold their public hearing on May 2nd. And we went through a series of information in the staff report, which I just want to go over briefly, if I may. It would only be located on tax map 83A3-A-5. It would have one entrance and exit from the Mason Avenue side of the property, directly across from Harbor Avenue. It would be staffed with one person at the entrance with a chair and umbrella that would be taken down daily, and would also have a trash can on the premises to keep the site clean. Would not have any access to the paid parking lots from the entrance near the War Memorial driveway, which runs along the smaller parcel, known as tax map 83A3-A-5A. There will be signage on the property that will indicate parking is from 8 a.m. to dusk, and vehicles left after lot closure will be towed at the vehicle owner's expense. And staff was supporter of a waiver from the interior landscaping requirements relative to the development of a parking lot. Yes, the applicant's representative, Mr. Diaz, was present, and he confirmed all of this information. There was one additional question that got posed about the types of vehicles that would be allowed onto the property, and he did indicate that they would accept all types of vehicle that could traverse on the public roads, including motorhomes, trailers, boats that are being towed. However, the larger vehicles may be charged a different rate from a regular car. We had a few citizen comments, one from Henry Harris of 150 Mason Avenue. He was concerned about the landscaping for the property and the seasonal operation of the parking lot, and unclear how we would evaluate the success of such an operation at the end of the seasonal permit if it's approved, to consider re-upping it for future permit approvals. He also wondered if this was the best use of the property. We heard from Robert Shreves of 654 Randolph, and he indicated he was concerned about the noise and parking. However, after we went further in his comments, we realized they were not applicable to the parking lot. They were for the other public hearing that evening. We received an email from Canoni Atlantic Company, which has been provided to you in your packet. And I think we have addressed all of those issues and items that were raised in that particular communication through the staff report, as well as clarification from the applicant at the public hearing. And again, Mr. Diaz is here and he can speak to it. He also acknowledges that this may not be the best use of the property, but this is being considered as a short-term enterprise that could provide a service that needs that appears to be in need, some parking, and that may help offset the expenses of running and operating that property for the current property owner. His one request that he threw in here is he did ask that he be allowed a waiver or an extension of time on the 4th of July day itself, because they would like to have this parking lot be available to that particular event of fireworks being offered in the town of Cape Charles. So with that said, you have a recommendation from the Planning Commission to recommend to Town Council the approval of conditional use permit 2023-002 at 6 Mason on a one-time seasonal basis until 9/5/2023 with the following conditions. A waiver from the landscape requirements and other, I'm not going to read all of this, but a waiver from the landscape requirements and other paved surface requirements during the seasonal one-time permit timeframe. Sufficient trash receptacles be provided by the property owner and emptied on a regular basis at the expense of the property owner. The entrance and exit to from the parking lot is from the center entrance on Mason Avenue, directly across from Harbor Avenue only. Approved and permitted signage indicating the hours of operation of 8 a.m. to dusk and daily parking only, no overnight parking, and towing of all cars will be at owner's expense. I omitted one additional, is the Planning Commission also recommended the expanded hours of operation for the 4th of July event as well. And that was seconded by Commissioner McCoy, and the motion was carried unanimously. And of course, the applicant's representative is present this evening, if you'd like to hear from him.
I don't really have anything to add. Mr. Ness did a wonderful job, but all my questions, I'm more happy to come up and answer.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve conditional use permit 2023-002 for 6 Mason for a one-time seasonal basis until September 5th, with the 4 conditions as printed in our staff report and the amended July 4th hours extension.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I think we run the risk of, folks are used to parking in that space on 4th of July, so we're going to need extra signage, and just so it doesn't become confusing where people have parked there earlier in the day and didn't realize it wasn't free that evening as well.
There will be people there, and they will know that to shoot there, and be there with a credit card.
Ms. Dodge, can we ask you to come to the microphone, please?
It would not be free during the day, that
Right,
day.
no, I
It would be a
realize that.
paid parking lot all the time. But go ahead.
They're used to evening parking there being free, and so.
So that area is getting ready to get chained off, fenced off, and there's going to be no trespassing sign on the chain. So nobody's going to get into that property unless I've got a staff member there, or if we've got something else going on. But that whole property is going to get closed off. So, and we'll have plenty of signs. I know somebody that makes the signs, so he does a really good job.
And how about like all the towing and all that stuff? Is that already set
So
up?
I've got it set up with Moore's Towing. It's already arranged. And he said if it looks like it becoming a problem, he'll have a truck down here before 7:30, before the 8 o'clock time ever comes. So, but that's all set.
Great. Any other discussion or questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, 6 Mason Avenue paid parking lot. Passes unanimously. Zoning map correction.
During the week in early May, it was brought to the Planning and Zoning Department's attention by the property owner that the town zoning map was incorrect, specifically regarding tax map parcel 83A3-11-1, which is south of the harbor, and its zoning should be harbor zoning and not industrial 2 or M2 zoning. After extensive research, we have confirmed that the property owner is correct, and this particular parcel should be zoned harbor and not industrial 2. The town manager has provided a memorandum that was issued at that time, and we've included that for additional backup information. We have put a public hearing ad in the paper as required by the Code of Virginia that corrects our town zoning map, and that was subject to the public hearing this evening. This is slightly different because you didn't adopt this as a zoning map standalone. It was an Appendix A within your comprehensive plan adoption in December 15th of 2022. So your wording is just going to be a tad different. And so I walked you through that process of how you originally adopted this and how we need you to take action on this evening. And that is contained under the proposed town council action. So I'd like you to consider that motion this evening.
Mayor, I make a motion that we amend the zoning map to correct the designation for tax parcel 83H3-11-1 from M2 to harbor zoning, and to also update our zoning map contained in Appendix A of our comprehensive plan.
Second. Any discussion? I move for adoption of ordinance 2023-0518B, correcting Cape Charles zoning map designation for tax map parcel 83A3-11-1 from industrial 2 or M2 to harbor zoning, as noticed and forego the reading of the ordinance. It's a roll call vote. Bennett?
Yes.
Buckholz?
Yes.
Buda?
Yes.
Ulmer?
Yes.
Grossman?
Yes.
Holloway?
Yes.
All right. Ordinance passed. Cape Charles Memorial Library Board bylaws.
So, Mr. Mayor, this was spoken to earlier by the chairman of the Board of Trustees. It's the council's policy to adopt the policies that are recommended by the board. Town staff just brought them forward with one exception, and that was the residency requirement, which was a significant change from the prior practice. So we have, as Rich pointed out, previously it was all residency was required within the town itself. The council made an exception to that policy when one of the board members moved out of town, and to reflect the regional nature of the board, and to reflect the fact that the county does provide some funding to the board. However, it was the position of staff that remain consistent with all of our other boards and commissions, that that the board should be represented by town residents. And while I agree with the chairman that it has a much broader use, is that people within the corporate limits of Cape Charles that pay for it. Other than that amount that is provided by the county, the majority of the budget is paid for by Cape Charles taxpayers, not county taxpayers. And so, for those purposes and for consistency, we recommended that you consider the change of retaining the previous past practice. And I would invite you to invite the chairman back up if you have any questions.
So, the way this reads is that they should be members of residents of Cape Charles with the exception of one member may reside in Northampton County. That's what you're recommending?
Correct, yes, that's the existing policy.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Written policy?
No, that was that was voted on by the council. This would change. This would memorialize that. This would memorialize the last action what the last action of council was. Yes.
Right. Because that's consistent with, isn't, I think it's the Historic District Review Board that has a certain amount of residents within the Historic District. Is that the one?
Yes. Correct. Yes.
Richard, could you?
Yes, ma'am.
Would this, what we are saying to make it official, having added one member of Northampton County to your board, give you what you're looking for?
Can we concede to that? Yes. Would we prefer two? What's our negotiating process here? There's 6 plus a council representative.
Are you having a hard time finding people?
No, I don't think so. But we'd like wider representation to reflect the wider use.
just a question. I don't disagree with what you're asking. Can you tell me what the other library boards encompass as far as their membership? Do you know?
Honestly, I don't know. Other library board members who are here, does anyone know the composition of the other library boards? True. So no, short answer is I can't give you that answer, but obviously they're made up of members of all of Northampton County and/or Accomack.
I would personally be fine with 2 members from, if you need. I mean, obviously, we would prefer Cape Charles residents, but I would be fine with 2 residents from Northampton County out
I
of the
would
6.
agree with that.
I'm fine with that.
I can live with that.
Do I need to make a motion?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, please. Make that motion, please.
With the change.
Okay, so I move that the board members should be 4 residents from Cape Charles, 2 may reside in Northampton County.
So to clarify the motion, you're moving to amend the bylaws as presented. We'll vote on that, and if that approves, then you're going to vote to approve the bylaws in total. Does that make sense? Okay.
You just tell me about that.
You said
Right now,
you said it right. You said it right.
Councilwoman Hathaway has a motion to amend.
We need a second.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on the amendment?
Yeah, just keep in mind, we're the ones that approved the appointees.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Oh, sorry, Steve.
Now a motion to approve the bylaws as amended.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
Lovely, thank you.
You're a good negotiator, Rich.
Yes, indeed. All right. 8F.
All right, Mr. Red, so this is the last minute item that I requested be put on there. This is a very routine matter of business. It's just happened very quickly. And it's completely driven outside of our control. This is something we typically do. We participate in the grant loan program through the USRDA. It's been a very beneficial program for us, and we have budgeted for these items in fiscal year 23. You've already approved these things. This is just a financing mechanism to make it happen. We just got the documents yesterday. We've been working on them today, and I'm requesting the rushed action tonight because if I waited until June to do it, that doesn't give us enough time to actually to get the items within the fiscal year. So I appreciate you putting it on the agenda, and other than the speed in which it's happening, it's a very routine item, and I would recommend approval.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt resolution 2023-0518D to accept the USDA Rural Development Grant and Loan for purposes of purchasing the equipment as outlined in the staff report.
Second.
Any discussion? I move for adoption of loan resolution 2023-0518B, accepting a USDA rural development grant of $26,000 and a loan of $48,800, and accompanying obligations and requirements for the purchase of police and public works equipment as presented and forego the reading of the resolution. And for a roll call vote, Bennett.
Yes.
Buckholz.
Yes.
Buda.
Yes.
Ballmer.
Yes.
Grossman.
Yes.
Holloway.
Yes.
All right, let it be known unanimously passed. All right. Mr. Hosek.
Okay, so put away my other list of items and get right to what everyone wants to talk about. So just as an overview on process, I certainly didn't mean any disrespect earlier. Sometimes it's my job to be the bad cop and enforce the rules. So I certainly didn't mean any disrespect. Just generally speaking, the public gets to speak during public comments, and then after public comments is over, then it's time for the council to speak. This is not a town hall meeting. This is not a back and forth. It's an opportunity for one group to speak and then the council to react to that. And so that's where we are right now. We're reacting to public comments. With regard to the Lemon Tree situation. I guess I wanted to clarify the situation. First off, it's approving event applications is not a council matter. Council does not approve these, which is why council's not been involved. These are approved at the staff level. We recently redid our application process and manual, and that was provided to council, and council did not object to it, and so we've been using those new rules, and that's what I use as staff to evaluate whether applications are approved or not. When an application comes forward, it is expected that the applicant, the host of whatever event it is, that they put it all together. It's not incumbent upon the town to solve all the problems. When Main Street wanted to put on Festive Fridays, they didn't just come to the town and say, hey, we want to close the street for Fridays, and town, you go figure it out. They put together a committee who put in countless hours of trying to solve all the problems and make everybody happy and put together a fabulous event. And then they came to the town and said, hey, here he is. We dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's. Can we do this? And it turned out to be a wonderful event. So we hold everybody to that standard, whether it's CCP and Concerts in the Park, whether it's Main Street. It's the applicant who has to do the work and put together something that makes sense. Now, when Lemon Tree first came to us and with this concept, we thought it was a great idea, and we supported it. And for the first number of years, it grew in popularity, and frankly, from town's perspective, I didn't get any complaints about it. So we kept going on and approving it. But success sometimes is its own worst enemy. Because it became more successful, it became more frequent. And I think that's where it started to get to a problem with the neighbors. Is not so much, my sense of it was not so much that a lot of the neighbors don't like the event, as much as the frequency of the event and how much it impacts their lives. And so last year, they did them every Friday, and it was very successful. So they put the application in to do that again this year. And when the word got out on Main Street and within the residents of that area that they were going to be doing it again, then I did get flooded with some of those concerns. You heard them tonight. There was quite a few businesses and residents residents of that area right there that are concerned with the issue of inaccessibility to their homes, parking, noise, all that sort of thing. I think anybody who's listened to all the comments could probably pretty easily determine that if you don't own a business or live right there, you support it. I mean, it seems to be very broadly supported by anybody that just comes and enjoys it. But if you have to do business right there or live right there, it's a big impact. And so when we started getting that conflict, I spoke to the applicant, and we asked them, can you go talk to your neighbors? Can you try to work this out? I felt there was a compromise there somewhere. I mean, maybe it's not every week. Maybe it's every other week or once a month or whatever. Maybe you alter the hours. Maybe you do this. Maybe you do that. I don't know. I just wanted to facilitate a conversation. I just wanted everyone to get together and figure out, how do we make this work for everybody? And then once you get that figured out, bring it back to the town, and we'll do everything we can to make it work for you. I mean, that's what we do with everybody. And so that's what was suggested. And to Lemon Tree's credit, they did go and try to talk to some folks and try to work it out. But I was not party to those meetings, so I can't tell you what was said or who they talked to. But they did not get very good vibes from all that. They thought they couldn't come to some sort of a compromise, so they pulled their application. Once they did that, it's no longer a town issue. There's nothing for me to approve at the moment. So that's kind of where we are. Generally speaking, we think that event's great. We would love to support that event, but we can't just ignore the impact that it has on immediate residents and businesses as well. I mean, there's got to be a compromise there. We got to be able to figure this out. So you know, I encouraged before, and I still strongly encourage all the parties involved to sit down and talk about it. And I didn't ask Lemon Tree to go up and down the street and talk to every single person. I said, I suggested they have a conversation with three groups: the homeowners association of both the condos and Main Street representing all the businesses. Just meet with those three groups and sit down and try and figure this out. I mean, but I don't know. So that's where we are. That's what I still recommend we do. I would love to see this salvaged in some way. But that's where we are. And so I'm open to having, you know, if anybody, you know, wants to talk. This is not a question and answer period. I'm sorry. Again, don't mean to be rude. It's just that's not the way we're set up. But once this meeting's over, come up and talk to me. I'll tell you. I'll be able to answer any questions you want, or call me, or email me, or whatever. So that's where we are. And I don't know. Does the council have any questions about this?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment.
Okay. Sure.
Absolutely.
I think that there's a great situation here for people coming to the table and working this out and making it work. I think it's very, very possible and feasible on all fronts. I know that Karen Zamorsky was really hoping to be able to do that and kind of play the intermediary between the business piece of that and helping it work out. I think it's important to note there were a lot of good comments tonight, both from people who lived in the buildings and worked around them. And we do need to respect all of that, both people who want it and people who are concerned by it. That is our society of what we offer in this community. There are some people that I hear from as a council person, their voices weren't heard tonight, and I just want to put this out there. There are a lot of surrounding houses in the neighborhood that are concerned with the volume every Friday night. So that is a concern. My look at this is, can we look at this in less frequency so that people can all enjoy it, as well as the people who live there and reside and have businesses to do that. So I would encourage, I've offered to some of the folks that have expressed concerns that I'd be glad to play an intermediary and sit down, not as town council, but just as a person who loves this community. I back up to the park, so I have, you know, music every Saturday night from mid-June to mid-September and know it, but at the same time, Central Park follows all of the policies they need to follow in order to make that work. As far as timing, they don't go until 9:15. You know, they follow what their guidelines are. Crowd and Blues Festival, when they use the park, they actually do a good neighbor thing. They go around and give out tickets to the people who surround the park because of the inconvenience as far as getting in and out for parking. So there are ways to make this work and make it happy for all in the community, and I think that's where we're at.
Just to affirm some of the things John said, and he was a little modest because it's not just for Festive Fridays that he spends a lot of time working with the organizers. I know, as a big fan of the summer concert series, he has spent many hours over repeated years working with CCP to address issues as they have come up, and CCP has been quite responsive as far as I know. I hesitate to jump in and support him because when I tried to interject some factual accuracy in one of the online discussions this weekend, I was exposed as the town's #1 enemy of arts and culture. So, yes, thank you for showing my true colors. And the theme I'm hearing from up here is let's work together. I was somewhat disheartened, not upset, I laughed, when I was walking by Lemon Tree and someone who does not work at Lemon Tree, because Lemon Tree has lived up to their stated desire of harmony with the neighbors. I've heard none of the town bashing, none of the name calling that we've heard from other parties. But somebody who was inside there yelled out an expletive at me, which is, of course, how well-cultured people communicate a desire for productive discourse. But I did not hear, let me back up and say, leading up to this, I live and work and own the store on the block where these parties happen. I have spoken to many residents of both buildings and nearly all the businesses, and I've spoken to people who think the concerts are great and people who think that they might need to adjust the plan a bit. And I encourage all of those people to make their voices known. Some of them did write in on both sides of the issue. But a couple things that I think we need to look at is basically, I think I'm hearing three main issues, and none are insurmountable. So I'm not sure why the all or nothing ugliness by some people. So first, the ABC issues. Now, I live and work there, and I can tell you, and I don't work every Friday, but my staff, that yes, that was a significant issue. There was insufficient enforcement, and most of the people coming into my stores were carrying open containers, and I know if I owned a restaurant in that area, I would be very concerned about the implications that has for me. Not just people walking in with open containers, but such behavior does tend to create increased scrutiny by ABC on town. I don't think the solution to that is very difficult. More volunteers to help enforce, but perhaps it's unreasonable. For parking and traffic purposes, town council adopted that, we endorsed this new public facility use policy that it discourages street closures unless it can be demonstrated that it's critical to the event. So staff, frankly, would have been in trouble with us if they just approved a street closure for every Friday night in the busiest part of the season without asking for the discussion of how critical it is, how often is necessary, are there alternatives that might be explored for at least some dates to try out different things. Again, not insurmountable. And I wasn't at the meeting, but I know John is a big fan of this event. So I think if he was heard as being discouraging towards Lemon Tree having dialogue on this, then I think that was misunderstood. I would be very surprised if that was his intent. And what we've heard a lot about is volume. I'm not a sound person, but that hardly seems like an insurmountable obstacle to me. Balancing the need for it to be heard above the crowd and not being detrimental to other businesses and activities. I've literally seen this balance achieved hundreds of times in my life, and it seems to work everywhere else. So what is wrong with trying to address the lessons learned from last year's experience? I don't recall this happening, and perhaps the town's records will show that I'm mistaken, but I don't think it happened on this scale in 2021. We had it in 2020, or what, 2021. In 2022, I recall it going to the increased frequency, and again, it's the increased frequency that revealed some of these unintended negative consequences that need to be addressed. And I'm a little surprised because, as I said, I was going around talking to people, trying to get a feel, as I do on many issues. I was a little puzzled when I kept hearing repeated comments tonight about these issues first being learned about at the meeting. And I never spoke with Lemon Tree. But in my consultations, I did speak to one of the business owners on Strawberry who identified themselves as being part of the team of organizers. And this was a week before Lemon Tree's meeting with town. So, and I specifically said, to avoid anyone feeling blindsided, you should know that there are some substantive concerns that have been raised. Perhaps I was foolish to assume that within that organizing group, these might be communicated so that Lemon Tree might be more prepared coming into the meeting. But again, I wasn't required to do that. I was trying to facilitate communication. So, again, I think there's just been a lot of miscommunication and misrepresentation on this issue. And I mean, some of the behavior, I mean, the town has not made this progress over the past 20 years by tearing each other down. We do it by working together. So those who choose the more hostile path, just stay out of it. You're not helping. Thank you.
Any other comments?
For me personally, the question comes up about street closures in general. And as you mentioned, our new policy is to try to avoid that. And
It's not really new.
but we just reapproved.
Yeah, it's always been that way.
So
We formalize.
to close a particular street that frequently during the summer is a concern. If, for example, Wendell's Distributing decides they want to close off their block and run street parties there, is that acceptable for the neighbors? How do we begin to say it's okay here, but it's not okay there? We created Strawberry Plaza specifically for the purpose of concerts. If you read council minutes, that's in there. That seems to be a logical place to use for this purpose. And that would avoid street closures. So just my perspective on that.
Since it's come up, let me give you my interpretation of that part of the application, because you're both right. The new application says that street closures are discouraged, and you need to have a good reason. But in my opinion, I think Lemon Tree met the burden on that. There's a number of reasons why Strawberry Street Plaza wouldn't work as well. One, Strawberry Street Plaza is an event space, but was never designed to be used at night. There's no lights there. There's no lighting there. There's also an issue of ABC license. So Lemon Tree can use an extension of their existing ABC license if it's immediately adjacent to their building. That doesn't work if they go across the street. The third thing is that it's not just Lemon Tree. I like the fact that it brought attention to an entire side street of the business district. So it's not just, I mean, everyone goes up and down Mason and people tend to ignore the side streets. Even though they wouldn't be shopping in those side streets during the concert, they're made aware of it. I mean, it gives presence to it. And so for all those reasons, I think it meets the burden of why I would say yes. We discourage it generally, but I think in this case, it's reasonable. So closing the street isn't so much an issue for me. What's more of an issue for me, I guess, and many people have mentioned, is the frequency that it happens. And so I think it is also an unreasonable burden to the residents to have to deal with that every single Friday night. And so I think that's where the compromise has to come in. I think we need to talk to the residents, we need to talk to the businesses, and try and figure out where's that happy medium. What is Lemon Tree willing to do? What are the residents willing to accept? And that's just a process we have to go through.
Because one of the ways that Festive Fridays works is that there are volunteers at both ends of the streets that are there at all times. And for residents, or someone that's has ADA needs to get into a specific place, they're there to make that happen. So, for example, that might be a way to get the Wilson Building residents. There are many that are over 70 plus that would not have access to a close parking place to their residents. And so, to me, that would be one of the areas that we need to be working on. And I do think not every single week, if it could happen less frequently, it's a great thing to pull the businesses and the community together. There's no doubt in that. But we all have to be respectful of the volume and the consideration of those beside us. And we have the good neighbor policy tonight from the vacation homeowners. That goes to everything that we do.
And just to back you up on Festive Fridays, every year, because we've been doing it for 10 years, they recap after Festive Fridays to learn the lessons from that year, because it's gotten bigger every year, we've gotten more money, but it also means there's more people to deal with. and see what lessons are there to address the following year, just like Citizens for Central Park does. So asking the same in this case, I don't think is an attack on Lemon Tree or an opposition to live music or anything except, you know, being a good neighbor.
Okay. All right, is there any other comments, or I'll move on to other business?
Before you move on,
No.
sorry,
You can't.
would you allow me to ask
No.
a question?
No.
That's
No.
not what this time is for.
My question is, because we couldn't have this
Jeff, we
earlier,
can't,
would you
Jeff,
allow-
we
would
can't
you
do a
allow-
question now. We can't do it right
Please.
now. We're moving
So
on.
when
Sorry.
might that be appropriate?
Please.
When you first sign up to talk during general comments.
You can, or you can come up to me after the meeting, or anytime you can stop by my office.
Got it. But if I'd like to address.
It's not, sorry, Jeffrey,
No.
it's not appropriate.
Do that.
We're not voting on it.
We're not,
It's not appropriate.
Started off with saying it's a town decision.
right, it's not even a council decision.
So
not
council
up to
would
us.
never be concerned with that?
All right, we're finished.
Okay.
Please, we're proceeding.
So, moving on to some other business. Just wanted to make you aware that bids did close on the Monroe properties. The winning bid was $300,000. $300,000. So that we had a minimum bid of $250, and the winning bid was $300.
On Monroe.
Yeah, that's that lot that we.
One or lot or two?
It's one lot that was. It's 1.5. It was.
The meeting is not over.
Yeah, you could keep it
Please
down.
keep your volume down. We're still trying to do the town business. Thank you.
So the lot was the lot line was removed, and it's kind of an L-shaped lot, so it's a little bit bigger than a regular lot. So that will so we'll be bringing that forward for you to take official action on, probably in June. Also, now that the budget is over, my bandwidth is increased, and so I'm going to be moving on to the next highest priority, which is the short-term rental regulation process. So I'm putting together a committee now. I want to try to keep it reasonably sized. Too many people can be unwielding, but at the moment, what I'm suggesting for representation on this committee is myself, the zoning administrator, representative from council/planning commission. I guess you can imagine who that might be.
Guy wearing a green shirt,
Who's also our housing expert.
Frosty the Snowman.
Also, I'm requesting a representative from Vacation Homeowners Rental Group, so we get that side of it. I'm going to ask for a representative from the Civic League to get that side of it. And then also, Bay Creek Association is doing their own rental committee right now. So I want an official representative from their committee on my committee so that we're talking together, so we're not working cross purposes. So that gives us a total of 6 people, which I think is a manageable number of folks to start working. So I will be trying to put information together and get that going here next week or so.
So Bay Creek, did you say the HOA was doing that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I also need to ask for all of you to put the word out and beat the bushes for any possible candidates who would be willing to serve on the Historic District Review Board. It looks like we may be losing one person and potentially 2, so we definitely would like to get one and a couple of alternates if we could. So, we do what advertising we can, but it's always very helpful. You're great at trying to recruit people because you can talk to them about what it needs, and they respect you. So, I would really appreciate it if you would start beating the bushes and looking for candidates and getting them in touch with Libby.
Hey Diane, what are you doing?
Staying off it. You're on the library.
We did get a revised schedule for the visitor center restroom project, and And again, I think I briefed very vaguely that it's been delayed slightly, a little more than slightly. We were hoping to have it out to bid by now. But we just kind of are working through the final details now on textures and colors and that sort of thing, and then had some input from Main Street on that. And so we'll be wrapping those up, and we hope to get the plan submitted to DEQ by the 19th, which is now, right? Pretty close. Now, the problem is we have to allow for the maximum amount of time DEQ may take to do it. Now, they may do it sooner, right? But for my schedule, I have to assume the longer. So with a 45-day review period, that puts it at July 3rd. Then we'll do a final review on the 14th, and the goal is to try and get this out in August. So we were hoping to have it out, in May or June. Now we're looking maybe August. Now, if DEQ speeds things up, we can maybe get it out sooner. Again, it's still our hope that we can get this done and operational by Festive Fridays, but certainly not before the end of the regular tourist season. I also wanted to touch base and ask your thoughts on this, because it's the first time it's happened since I've been manager. As you know, our treasurer has decided to retire, and so we are actively beginning recruitment and efforts for that. But this is typically whenever I hire at a department level position, I always request a council representative on my hiring committee. However, this is a charter officer as well. So I wanted to ask how you wanted to deal with that. I could put 2 council members, I can't go more than 2, or it's a meeting, but I could put 2 council members on my review committee, or I could screen applicants and we could do executive sessions and all of you could do it. So, I mean, I guess my suggestion was get 2 of you to be on the committee, and then.
That's what we did when we were doing for town manager. Before the prior time, we put 2 on it, and they knocked it down to a couple qualified people.
4 candidates.
Yeah, and then then we went into the executive side of it afterwards. Then everybody got to meet them, and then everybody asked their own questions. That's how we did it.
And I'm confident in any of the colleagues, but if that is an important position, Debbie has transformed it. So if needed, I'm available for.
I was going to ask you if you would do it. So, so I was going to ask Andrew for sure. Does anybody else want to volunteer?
I can do it.
Okay.
I didn't know your calculator went up that high.
All right, and the last thing, we approved the resolution for the Rosenwald School Initiative, and they're getting ready to come in and do get their building permits to start some of the work. They don't have all their funding yet, but they're going to start doing some. They've been asking about whether the town would be willing to waive certain fees, that sort of thing. Well, we did. I've already waived planning and zoning fees, but building permit fees can be, on a project that size, can be considerable, and tap fees can be considerable as well. So I wanted to get your pulse on whether or not how you felt about. This is an enormous amount of work for our inspectors, but the amount of work doesn't go away whether we charge them the fees or not. But I don't want to paint the picture that if you see the revenues go down for that department, that the work's going down, the work's going up. So I want to make sure you're very aware of that. But we're probably looking somewhere in the $15,000 to $20,000 range for permit fees. With regard to tap fees, we typically require those at the time we issue permits, but we do have flexibility in the ordinance to delay that until as late as certificate of occupancy. By then, they would be dealing with somebody else, not us, whose rates are considerably cheaper. So, I wanted to get a sense if you thought it was, you would support me if I were to waive those building permit fees and delay the tap fees.
Steve, don't you recall, I thought we had discussed this, I don't know if any of you guys were on council at the time. I could have swore somewhere along the line, in the last 6 years, we had talked about waiving those fees. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that does not come to my mind, Andy.
All right.
I'm not opposed to it, but I don't recall us previously doing it.
All right. I just swore we did.
And I know for the brewery, we did a, what, 50%?
Yeah, you reduced the fees for the brewery and then you put them on a payment plan.
Right, for the tap,
Yeah,
for the tap.
yes.
Yeah. I mean, I would be in support of the building fees, not making them pay that, but maybe the.
Yeah, I'm still working with Virginia Water on that, on the tap fees, but at a minimum, I would delay. I wouldn't require them to pay it right now. Okay, seeing no objection? Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from council this evening? Yes.
I have one, since short-term rentals had come up. I have a seat on the Virginia Housing Commission Subcommittee on short-term rentals. If you remember the Senate bills and the House bills that were pushed off into this subcommittee relative to basically real estate managers, agents being excluded from any ordinances. That's really the crux. So we've had our first meeting last Tuesday up in Richmond, and we expect to have the consensus, which I'm not sure how we're going to get there, but in any case, that's going to be worked through the summer and fall and go to the actual Housing Commission, who then will listen to a recommendation and therefore then propose new legislation for next session. So I don't want to go into details, so just keep you abreast as those meetings are held. It's going to be a real treat.
Thank you.
I just had two comments. One, because we haven't met since then, is that the Love Run was a huge success as it turned to a 5K to a 10K, and the community involvement with that was really significant. So the numbers of participants was significantly up. I'm sorry that Tara isn't here, because Tara Ashworth and Julie Krause and Patsy Harris did a great job as organizers of that. I just want to give them a shout out to doing that. And I was really happy to see the vacation homeowners here with the good neighbor policy going forward. I think that's a step in the right direction.
Was there a significant increase in revenues for the Love Run?
There were. The numbers were up to almost 250. As always, people kind of wait for the weather to kind of decide. For the 10K, they were higher than what they expected them to be. They have some ideas. One of the things they tried to do this year is to turn it into like a festive event after runners came through, and that didn't quite hit the way they wanted. So I think they're going to try to encourage town residents to come out on the routes and encourage people as they're going through. But the numbers were definitely up. The sponsorship levels were really significantly higher, which is good.
If it goes to a sanctioned event, then people will make count, they will book it.
Yeah, the 10K was sanctioned.
Was it?
Yeah, it was through the
This year?
Virginia Beach.
I don't
No,
think
not
it was
this year.
sanctioned.
It's not sanctioned.
It was advertised, but I don't think it was sanctioned.
It's not
I thought that group was in charge of it. From
No,
Virginia
they
Beach.
can sanction it, it wasn't.
Okay.
They can.
But
Okay.
it will get to
Yeah,
that level. and
yeah,
that
once
will put
it,
the
when it
list.
gets it there, then you're gonna see bookings in all the places, which is gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be a huge event.
Great. Anything else? All right, well, I'll just close it with some announcements. May 29th, 2023, town office is closed for observance of Memorial Day. June 1st, town council public hearing, proposed fiscal year 2024 budget and special meeting. And June 15th is the next regular town council meeting. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?